ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Namaste, all of you. Welcome back to our continuing study of Shrimad Bhagawad Geetha through the pages of Poojya Swamiji's, Poojya Swami Dayananda Saraswati's Geetha home study course. In these sessions, we are together studying chapter 17 of Shrimad Bhagawad Geetha, which is titled Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yogaha, a topic that discusses the three types of Shraddha from the point of view of the gunas. Satviki Shraddha, Rajasa Shraddha, and Tamasa Shraddha. Towards the end of the last capsule, we heard from Poojya Swamiji that there's an important point that Poojya Swamiji made towards the end there. You may think that you are not of a particular guna, say sattva guna, and you have rajasa and tamasic qualities. You may think that you have to resign yourself to such qualities and that there is no scope for improvement. This is what Poojya Swamiji wanted to make clear. He wanted to tell us that just because you have a certain propensity, it doesn't mean you are stuck with that propensity. No. There is always scope for improvement, is what Poojya Swamiji underlined there. Whereas it is not like that. Because one can transform into a sattvika personality. Like we saw the distribution of the three gunas over the last two capsules, SRT, RST, RTS, and TRS. We must remember the S is always there in that distribution. S standing for Sattva Guna. However low you descend on the Guna ladder, there is always hope for you and me to transform, to start pushing sattva up that classification. Move from TRS to SRT. It is very much in our hands. Which is why Krishna said in the sixth chapter, Uddhared Atmanatmanam, Natmanam avasadayet, Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhuhu, Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. Be your own cheerleader, is what Krishna says in that shloka. The whole teaching is meant to make you sattvika, not to categorize people, not to put people in those four buckets: SRT, RST, RTS, and TRS buckets. No, that's not what the teaching is meant for. Therefore, the meaning of swabhava in the second shloka is the nature of the antahkaranam. There are three types of shraddha depending on the nature of the antahkarana, the mind you have, in which you can bring about a change. You can bring about a change. Before going into detail about the three types of shraddha, Krishna makes a general statement about shraddha and the person. Shloka number 3. A person is permeated by his shraddha. Let us hear from Lord Krishna and from Poojya Swamiji as to how we need to understand this shloka. Shloka number 3. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purushaha Yo yat shraddasa eva saha. Bharata, O descendant of Bharata, Arjuna, sarvasya, of everyone, Shraddha, Shraddha, Sattvanurupa, in keeping with his or her mind. Bhavati is. Ayam Purushaha, this person, Shraddhamayaha, is permeated by Shraddha. Yaha Yat Shraddha, whatever is one's Shraddha, Saha Eva Saha, he is that Shraddha alone. Very important to understand this. Bharata, Arjuna, Shraddha of everyone is in keeping with his or her mind. This person is permeated by Shraddha. Whatever is his or her Shraddha, he conforms to that Shraddha. Whatever is his Shraddha, he conforms to that Shraddha. Puja Swamiji says, though Shraddha is commonly translated as faith, though Shraddha is commonly translated as faith, Since it is so much more than that, since it is so much more than that, as we have seen, let us leave it untranslated. Let us leave it untranslated, says Poojya Swamiji. Sattva here is not the guna, but the antahkarana, the mind. A person's shraddha is sattva anurupa. That is, according to the disposition of his or her mind, its tendencies and value structure. A person's shraddha is sattvanurupa. That is, according to the disposition of his or her mind, its tendencies and value structure. It assumes a form in keeping with the type of mind you have. Shraddha assumes a form in keeping with the type of mind you have. And it can be changed. And it can be changed. For the mind means thinking. And once your thinking is changed, once your thinking is changed, everything is changed. As you think, so you become. The cognitive change will bring about a change in your attitude. And that will have an impact on your shraddha. The cognitive change will bring about a change in your attitude, and that will have an impact on your shraddha. The tendencies, the propensities, and understanding you have all determine the type of shraddha you have. The tendencies, the propensities, and understanding you have, all of them determine the type of shraddha you have. So it's in your hands, it's in our hands. A person is permeated by his shraddha. A person is permeated by his shraddha. Purushaha shraddhamayah. Purushaha shraddhamayah. Whatever type of shraddha he or she has, that is exactly what he or she is. Here, the suffix mayat in the word shraddha maya is in the sense of prachurya, meaning saturation. The person is nothing but an expression of his shraddha. The person is nothing but an expression of his shraddha. Shankara makes it clear that Purusha here, the word Purusha here, is the individual, the samsari, jiva, and not the Satchidananda Atma. Whatever a person's shraddha is, whatever a person's Shraddha is, that is what he is. So the quality of our mind determines the nature of our Shraddha, and whatever the nature of Shraddha is, that is what the person is. Because Shraddha permeates the entire personality. It permeates the thoughts, it permeates the words, it permeates the deeds. What else is beyond this? If his Shraddha is Satvika, he will be Satvika. His personality will be Satvika. He'll be a Satviki person, and so on. All his activities, his whole life will be a manifestation of his Shraddha. His entire life, whether he likes it, will be a manifestation of his Shraddha. Puja Swamiji says, forget the term Shraddha for the time being and just think about what determines the expression of your life. It is going to be in terms of your value structure and priorities. Suppose you ask a person to go to a movie and he says he has no time because he has to play bridge, the card game, bridge. The priorities are clear. He is clear about his choice of bridge over going to a movie. Vyavasayatmika buddhi with regard to bridge. One is more important for him than the other. Another person may go with you, and yet another person may not because he is going to the ashrama. He is going to the ashrama. That's his priority. Puja Swamiji says that he sees this all the time when he gives public talks. If they are for 3 nights, if the talks are for 3 nights, he says, I will never get the same people the second night. Even though Puja Swamiji deliberately leaves them with a cliffhanger. There is no way they can figure out the topic Swamiji is going to unfold. That is the way in which our gurus teach the subject matter. Whether it's Puja Swamiji or Swami Paramarthananda, there's no way they can figure out what Puja Swamiji is going to unfold, and yet they do not come the next night. Why? Priorities. priorities. Some other engagement was more important. Maybe a dinner, maybe a concert, and so on. Even if God were to come, even if God were to come, he would have to wait for one more day. A person is nothing but his or her priorities. That is why you have to understand how important it is. The whole change takes place only when the priorities change. The whole change takes place only when the priorities change. That rearrangement as to which is more important, which is less important, really brings about the change in the person that sets him or her in a new direction entirely. Wow! The whole change takes place only when the priorities change, says Poojya Swamiji. That rearrangement as to which is more important, which is less important, really, really brings about the change in the person that sets him or her in an entirely new direction. That prioritizing of values and pursuits indicates the type of thinking a person has, the type of shraddha he has. Therefore, Bhagavan makes a sweeping statement here. Bhagavan makes a sweeping statement here which is applicable to any person anywhere. Bhagavan makes a sweeping statement here which is applicable to any person anywhere. And what is that? Whatever is a person's shraddha, he is indeed the personification of that shraddha. That is, he conforms to that shraddha. Yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. Whatever is a person's shraddha, he is indeed the personification of that shraddha. That is, he conforms to that shraddha. Which is again talking about the quality of his mind. Yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. That's that sweeping statement that Bhagavan makes. And thus concludes the third shloka of chapter 17. We will move on with shloka number 4 of this lovely chapter in the upcoming capsules and take our study forward. Hari Om.